here. How are you?
Kako ste?
Good to see you. Fantastic.
Izgledate mi dobro.
Sit
Sjedite.
down. Let's go to work.
Idemo raditi, sjedite.
We save some of that energy for later.
Sačuvajte malo energije za kasnije.
I understand that you are very excited.
Vidim da ste jako uzbuženi.
That is great. Good to see you.
To je dobro, lijepo vas je vidjeti.
Well, today we're going to do a little talk on leadership.
Pričat ćemo malo o leadershipu.
How many of you are here for your first time at your 20 plus meeting? Just wave at me.
Koliko vas je prvi puta na 20 plus sastanku?
Good stuff. Give them a hand. Yeah, good to see you out here. We're going to spend a little bit of time this afternoon talking about leadership.
Potrošit ćemo vrijeme na pričanje o leadershipu.
You're the leaders.
I o vođama.
You're the people who built the business and got things going.
Vi ste oni koji ste pokrenuli posao i radite ga dalje.
I have a question to ask you as leaders.
Imam vas nešto pitat kao lidere.
You might want to write this down.
Napišite to.
Here's the question.
Evo pitanja.
Are you here because of your passion?
Da li ste ovdje zbog strasti?
Or your position?
Ili svoje pozicije?
Think that one.
Razmislite o tome.
If you're here because of your position,
ako ste ovdje zbog pozicije,
you've already sponsored 20 plus and you got to come here before and you've been here many, many times.
Dolazili ste ovdje već jako puno puta i obavili ste svoje.
Good for you.
Lijepo od vas.
But we're looking for people that are here because they're fired up and they want to get more people and more people and more people.
Ali tražimo strastvene ljude koji su se zapalili, koji žele još i još ljudi.
And that's passion.
I to je strast.
And those are people when you look in their eyes, they're fired up.
I to su ljudi kojima kad pogledate u oči, iz njih gori.
That's what we have to ask you.
I to moramo pitati vas.
A week ago we were in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Možemo otići u Honolulu, Hawaii.
How many of you have been to Hawaii?
Koliko vas je bilo na Havajima?
Whoa.
Opa.
You missed paradise.
Propustili ste raj.
Hawaii is fantastic.
Na Havajima je prekrasno.
Palm trees.
Palme.
Coconuts.
Kokosi.
Hula hula people.
Hula hula.
I did the hula hula.
I ja sam radio hula hula.
Pretty good.
I to jako dobro.
I had a grass skirt.
Imao sam suknju od lišća.
Coconuts.
Kokosove orahe.
And I looked really good.
I dobro sam izgledao.
But we had some of our partners come to us from different parts of the world to Hawaii.
I imamo partnere koji su došli iz različitih dijelova svijeta na Havaje.
And you don't see passion very often.
I ne vidite često tu strast.
I had a chance to introduce some of my partners from Hong Kong to Jim and Nancy Dornan.
Imao sam čast upoznati svoje partnere iz Hong Konga sa Jimom i Nancy Dornan.
We had a big luau.
Imali smo veliku večeru.
And at the end of the dinner, for about 15 minutes, we had a chance to introduce some of our people to Jim and Nancy Dornan.
I na kraju večera imali smo 15 minuta vremena da ih upoznamo sa Jim i Nancy Dornan.
And what I saw was some of my partners with passion.
I ono što sam vidio sam partnere sa strašću.
I had a chance to have the people just say who they are and what they do for a living and what do they like about the business.
Imao sam šansu pokazati ljude tko su, što rade u poslu.
Jim and Nancy are more interested to know what motivates you as opposed to what you're doing.
Jim i Nancy Dornan su zainteresirani više za to kakvi ste nego kako radite.
And as we were doing that introduction, I was watching a couple of my key people.
I dok sam radio tu edukaciju, gledao sam nekoliko svojih ključnih ljudi.
And there was 3 of them.
Bilo ih je 3.
And when we were talking, the other people were talking, I kept seeing these 3 people.
I dok su ovi govorili, ja sam gledao to 3 ljudi.
And they were breathing very hard.
I vrlo teško su disali.
I mean, they were hyperventilating.
Hiperventilirali su.
And I thought, I'm watching them out of my eye.
Gledam ih krajičkom oka.
And as I'm looking into their eyes,
i kako ih gledam u oči,
you could see the passion.
Vidite strast.
They were focused right away on exactly what was being said.
Bili su odmah fokusirani.
And the other people that were talking were just, yeah.
A drugi ljudi koji su pričali,
I'm excited because I can make a lot of money.
Uzbuđen sam zbog toga što ću dobiti puno
I
novaca.
like Hawaii.
Volim Havaje.
But these 3,
ali to 3
had passion.
Imali su strast.
At the end of the meeting, when we all broke up and everybody went their way,
I kada su na kraju sastanka svi otišli,
I noticed one thing about Jim and Nancy Dornan.
Pitao sam nešto Jim i Nancy Dornan.
They grabbed each of those 3 people.
Oni su uhvatili svo 3 ljudi.
Put them in a little huddle.
Stavili u malu kućicu.
And you could see Jim and Nancy just pumping the belief. You can do it, you can do it, you can do it.
I Jim i Nancy su ih pumpali, vi to možete, vi to možete, vi to možete.
Here's my question for you.
Evo mog pitanja za vas.
If I was Jim or Nancy Dornan,
Da sam Jim ili Nancy Dornan,
and I looked into your eye,
i da vas gledam u oči,
and I focused on your eyes,
i fokusiram se na vaše
would I
oči,
see passion coming out of it?
da li bih vidio strast koja izlazi?
Or would I just go, Yeah, I like the stadium, the nice yellow.
Ili bih vikao, jako je lijep stadion, žuti je.
That's why you're here. Always remember that.
Zato ste ovdje, to zapamtite.
Well, today we're going to have a chance to talk about some things that are maybe necessary for you to take this market and continue to go crazy with it.
Danas ćemo pričati o stvari koje su bitne za vas da preuzmete ovo tržište i da nastavite to raditi.
I asked Jim one before, I said, what is the market like in Croatia?
Pitao sam Jima kako je tržište u Hrvatskoj.
He said, it's hot.
On je rekao vruće.
I didn't know he meant the temperature.
A nisam znao da li misli na temperaturu.
We're from Canada.
Mi smo iz Kanade.
If you put a Canadian in this kind of heat, they begin to melt.
Ako Kanađane stavite na ovu temperaturu, oni se jednostavno otope.
When I first arrived here 2 days ago,
Kada sam došao prije 2 dana,
I'm 6'8",
visok 6 stopa,
but I'm melting.
ali se topim.
This is warm.
Ovdje je toplo.
But I hear that you're more fired up as people than just the temperature. Is that right?
Da, čuo sam da ste zapaljeni kao ljudi, a
Okay.
ne temperaturom.
Well,
Dakle,
if you're fired up as people, then let's talk about what it takes to really get this thing going nuts.
ako ste stvarno zapaljeni kao ljudi, onda idemo pričati o tome što ćete napraviti da ljudi polude.
There's lots of different things in order to be successful in this business that you need to become good at.
Ima raznih stvari koje trebate znati da biste bili uspješni u tom poslu.
You've got some of the best teachers on the planet on tapes in this place.
Imate jedne od najboljih učitelja na svijetu na svojim kazetama.
You've got some phenomenal example by the leadership that is just doing this thing.
Imate odličan primjer sa leadershipom koji radi ovaj posao.
You need to be proud of the partners that you're building.
Morate biti ponosni na partnere s kojima radite.
You have very special things ready for this country.
Imate specijalnu stvar u svojoj zemlji.
You've had an opportunity to work in the Slovenian market, learn and become good and practice and experience this business.
Imate mogućnosti raditi u Sloveniji gdje ćete naučiti kako se radi posao i steći iskustvo.
And now you're ready to take on Croatia.
I sada ste spremni krenuti u Hrvatskoj.
You can go nuts with what you've seen and learned.
Možete poludjeti s onim što znate i što vidite.
My goal and our goal in the next today
Naš cilj danas
is to maybe just give you some ideas to think about to help you build a bigger business.
dati vam ideje s kojima ćete shvatiti da možete napraviti veći posao.
You know, with all the different things to learn about this business.
Sa svim različitim stvarima koje morate naučiti u vezi ovog posla.
This is a very bright light.
Ovo je vrlo jako svjetlo.
I have no hair up here.
Nemam kose gore.
If you put too much light on my head, it blinds the people. They're like,
Ako stavite previše svjetla na moju glavu, zaslijepit ću ljude.
We did a meeting, I've talked to a number of you that were at the meeting in Hungary 2-3 years ago.
Bili smo na sastanku u Mađarskoj prije 2-3 godine i razgovarao sam s nekim od vas.
How many of you were at that meeting?
Koliko vas je bilo na tom sastanku?
Was that the meeting that Janos had the lights on the stage?
Da li je to bio sastanak
lights?
u kojem je Janoš imao svjetla na pozornici, velika?
We spoke 2 times in Hungary.
2 puta smo razgovarali u Mađarskoj.
And one time, you see these big lights right here?
I jednom vidite ova velika svjetla gore.
He didn't have them way up above.
Nije ih imao gore.
He had like 16 of them right here.
Imao ih je 16 ovdje.
16 of them right here.
I 16 tu.
Full on.
Potpuno upaljena.
And when he turned them on, it's like about 50 degrees on the stage.
I kada ih upalite, onda je oko 50 stupnjeva na
I felt
pozornici.
like a chicken.
Osjećao sam se kao pile.
I just saw, remember that whole weekend, cooking, you know? It
Cijeli
was
vikend sam
hot.
se kuhao, bilo je vruće.
This is much more comfortable.
Ovdje je ugodnije.
3 things that I can think of that you must become good at to build this business.
3 stvari koje vam moram reći da biste bili dobri u ovom poslu.
You need to become good with people.
Morate biti dobri s ljudima.
You've got to become an expression I've heard, a people magnet.
Morate biti magnet za ljude.
That means people want to be with you and hang around with you and know you.
To znači da vas ljudi žele znati i biti s vama i družiti se s vama.
You need to read books on people's skills.
Morate znati njihove mogućnosti, vještine.
You need to get anything you can get on leadership of people.
Morate sve to iznijeti u leadershipu preko ljudi.
You also need to become very good in work ethic.
Morate biti dobri u etici posla.
Work ethic is probably one of the biggest keys to success in this business.
Dakle, etika u poslu je jedna od ključnih stvari u poslu.
You can have all the people skills in the world.
Možete imati sve vještine ovog svijeta.
But if you don't work to get a group of people to talk to, it's useless.
Ako nemate posao u kojem imate grupu ljudi s kojim razgovarate, to je beskorisno.
And you also have to have a fantastic attitude.
I morate imati odličan stav.
Attitude is the hard part.
Stav je najteži dio.
Until you learn how to control your attitude,
Dok ne učite kako kontrolirati svoj stav,
until you learn how to make sure that whenever you're dealing with somebody, your attitude is top.
dok ne shvatite da što god govorili ili radili, da je vaš stav najbitniji.
Today I want to talk about 2 of these areas.
Želim pričati danas o 2 od tih stvari.
I want to talk about attitude,
O stavu
and I'm going to talk about work ethic.
i o etici.
Now I'm going to need a whiteboard. A
I
marker
sad
board.
trebam ovu
Now,
ploču.
one of the things that, there people say, is that all there is to this business? People skills, work ethic, and attitude?
Ljudi pitaju da li je to sve što je potrebno za ovaj
No,
posao.
there's lots of other things.
Ne, ima i drugih stvari.
You better get good at depth.
Morate biti dobri u tome.
You better make sure that you know how to work depth properly.
Pardon, morate biti dobri u dubini.
But again, there's lots of tools on that.
Ali za to treba puno alata.
You better be able to make sure you know how to work with products,
Morate znati raditi sa proizvodima,
but there's lots of equipment on that.
ali o tome imate puno opreme.
But if you can make sure you always have a good attitude
Ali ako imate dobar stav
and you know how to work real hard,
i ako znate jako raditi,
then
dobro,
you'll succeed in this business.
uspjećete u ovom poslu.
One of the things to understand in this business is you don't have to be the specialist.
Jedno što morate razumjeti, ne trebate biti specijalist u ovom poslu.
You just have to find the right ones.
Morate samo pronaći one prave.
There's lots of stuff that I'm not very good at.
Ima puno stvari u kojima ja nisam dobar.
Artistry cosmetics.
Recimo artistry kozmetika.
I don't wear it,
Ne nosim je,
thank goodness,
hvala Bogu,
and I don't know a lot about it.
i ne znam puno o njoj.
Now, people say, well, does that mean that you don't have any artistry cosmetics in your business?
To znači da, ljudi pitaju da li to znači da nemam artistry kozmetiku u svom poslu.
No, we have lots of artistry cosmetics in the business.
Ne, imamo puno artistrija u poslu.
Because myself and Suzanne can find people that love that product, that are specialists and like to learn about it.
Jer Suzanne može naći ljude koji žele koristiti tu
But if
kozmetiku.
we didn't work real hard to find them,
Ali ako ne bi radili dovoljno jako da ih nađemo
and we didn't have the right attitude to teach them,
i ne bismo imali dovoljno jak stav da ih naučimo,
we wouldn't find them.
ne bismo ih našli.
So it's not becoming a skilled professional in every area of the business.
Dakle, nije sve u vještini u ovom poslu.
At 20 plus, you're starting to develop a bit of a group.
Sa 20 plus vi već radite veliku grupu.
You need to make sure for your group that when they come in here this evening,
Morate znati da vaša grupa kada dođe večeras ovdje,
that they see somebody whose attitude is excellent,
da mora vidjeti ljude čiji stav je odlučan,
who's ready to go to work right away,
koji žele odmah početi raditi
and knows where to find the equipment to teach them how to build a business.
i treba im dati opremu da mogu naučiti raditi posao.
But if you want to learn how to get a good attitude,
Ako želite naučiti kako imati dobar stav,
there's three things that we use in Network 21.
3 stvari su koje mi koristimo u Networku 21.
They work,
Oni rade,
they'll get you successful,
oni će vas napraviti uspješnima,
they'll teach you what you need to know,
oni će vas naučiti što trebate znati
and they'll duplicate.
i duplicirat će.
Those three things are tapes
Te 3 stvari su
Books.
kazete, knjige
and meetings.
i seminari, sastanci.
You're going to hear that in this business. You've been hearing it since the day you started.
To slušate od početka kada ste počeli raditi posao
And I can guarantee you that every leader in this organization, that's all we talk about.
i mogu vam garantirati da svi voditelji ovdje pričaju samo o tome.
More tapes, more books, and more meetings.
Više kazeta, više knjiga i više sastanaka.
How come?
Kako?
Because the tapes allow us to get information to people
Zato što nam vrpce dozvoljavaju da damo informacije ljudima.
in a consistent, regular, never-changing fashion.
U konstantnom, regularnom i nepromjenjivom načinu.
See, you bring in people like us to speak.
Da vodite ljude kao što smo mi da govorimo.
I have one method of delivery.
Ja imam jedan način isporuke.
Peter Cox has another method of delivery.
Peter Cox na drugačiji način
Mitch
priča.
Sala has a method.
Sala priča drugačije.
Hans Nusselt. Everybody has a different style.
Svatko ima svoj način, stil.
But if you listen to a tape,
Ali ako slušate kazete,
once it's on tape,
jednom kada poslušate kazetu
once it's gone through the Network 21 filter system,
i kada prođe kroz filter Networka 21,
it never changes.
ona se ne mijenja.
And that's the beauty of it.
I to je ljepota svega.
It's consistent.
To je stalno.
Its attitude is consistent.
Njezin stav je konstantan.
And if you try to duplicate a tape by you being the tape all the time,
Ako pokušate duplicirati kazetu na taj način da budete kazeta cijelo vrijeme,
your attitude is doing this.
vaš stav plovi.
I don't know you, but I have 3 children.
Ne znam za vas, ali imam 3 djece.
Does anybody have children?
Da li itko ima djece?
Then you understand attitude. It's up
Onda
and
znate
down.
kako stav plovi.
How come?
Kako to?
Because children are designed to give you attitude.
Zato što su djeca ovdje da vam stvore stav.
How many of you have teenagers?
Koliko od vas ima tineđere?
Now there's something that'll test your attitude.
To je ono što će vam istestirati stav.
See all the hair that is out of my head?
Vidite kosu koju nemam?
Children.
Djeca.
How many of you have no children?
Koliko od vas nema djece?
Keep it that way. You'll never lose your hair.
Ostanite tako, nećete izgubiti kosu.
No, I'm just joking. Of course, we think children are wonderful, honey.
Šalim se, naravno da mislimo da su djeca prekrasna.
We just had our 3 kids in Hawaii with us.
Imali smo svoju djecu na Havajima s nama.
Our 2 oldest daughters, they brought 2 of their friends, one each.
Naše 2 kćeri starije su povele po 2 svojih prijatelja sa
They had
sobom.
never been around a Network 21 group of people.
Nikada nisu bili u krugu Networka 21.
boy, did they ever get their eyes opened up.
Jako su gledale.
Excitement, fun, good people.
Raspoloženje, dobri ljudi i zabava.
And that's what you're part of.
I to je ono čega ste vi dio.
But I tell you, kids can test your attitude.
Ali kažem vam, djeca mogu testirati vaš stav.
If you have tapes,
Ako imate vrpce,
you have consistent attitude,
imate stalan stav.
no matter what the kids are doing.
Nema veze što djeca rade.
If you have books,
Ako imate knjige,
they learn how to speak to you.
naučit ćete kako će vam pričati.
I don't understand why books do this, but books make you think more than just listen.
Ne znam kako to knjige rade, ali knjige vas tjeraju da mislite više nego da slušate.
And when you think what you're reading, it gets inside of you.
I kada razmišljate o tome što čitate i kada to uđe u vas,
And the last thing that will really affect your attitude is meetings like this.
i zadnje što će utjecati na vaš stav je sastanak kao što je ovaj.
You cannot come to these kind of meetings over and over and over and not get it.
Ne možete stalno i stalno dolaziti na ovakve sastanke i ne shvatiti.
Don't miss meetings.
Nemojte propuštati sastanke.
To me, they're probably the most powerful.
Za mene su oni najjači.
Because it makes you keep going back to listen to a tape and reading a book.
Zato što vas tjeraju da ponovno čitate knjige i slušate kazete.
And sometimes the best meetings that you go to are the meetings where you don't go across stage.
I neka su najbolji sastanci u kojima ne morate hodati preko pozornice.
When you have a chance to see other people go across stage, that is the best attitude corrector I have ever seen.
Kada vidite druge ljude da prelaze preko pozornice, to je najbolji korektor vašeg stava koji može biti.
I remember when I started this business.
Sjećam se kada sam počeo ovaj posao.
My self-confidence many times is greater than my ability.
Moje samopouzdanje je vrlo često bilo veće od moje mogućnosti.
And I'll never forget, I went to this first BBS.
Neću zaboraviti svoj prvi BBS.
And I come from a corporate background, big
Dolazim
company.
iz velike korporacijske pozadine
And I was doing fairly good at my job.
i jako sam dobro radio svoj posao.
So I go to this BBS,
I krenuo sam na BBS.
and I remember watching all these people go across stage.
I sjećam se puno ljudi koji su prelazili preko
New
pozornice.
core!
Novi kor!
New 15 planner Silver Eagle!
Novi srebrni orao!
I'm watching all this.
I ja gledam to sve
I'm thinking to myself,
i razmišljam sebi.
what is this?
Što je ovo?
I could do this.
Ma ja to mogu.
What's a core?
Šta je to kor?
And my sponsor, he says, core is when you do this, 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 this.
I onda moj sponsor kaže kor je kada napraviš ovo i ovo.
I can do that.
Ma ja to mogu.
Now, my sponsor is a very, very smart person.
I moj sponsor je veoma pametan čovjek.
He knows I have this big ego.
Zna da imam ogroman ego.
So he goes,
I zato kaže,
I don't think you can do it.
a mislim da nećeš moći.
What do you mean you don't think I can do it?
Kako to misliš da neću moći?
I do anything I put my mind to.
Mogu napraviti sve što hoću.
He goes, well, then, next month there's this another BBS.
A on kaže, pa sljedeći mjesec ti je novi BBS.
And as he was explaining this little old lady,
I kako je to objašnjavao, jedna starica,
she was old. She was walking across the stage,
bila je stara i hodala preko pozornice i mahala.
And I'm watching this old lady.
I gledam tu staricu
I said, what does she do?
i pitam sponzora što je ona napravila.
He says, she's a new core.
A on kaže, ona je novi kor.
Oh.
Imao sam cilj.
My goal now was, I'm going to beat the old lady.
Moj cilj je bio pobijediti tu staricu.
So I did my sponsor.
I to sam rekao sponzoru.
Get her next month.
Ja ću je prestići sljedeći mjesec.
He says, go for it.
A on kaže,
So I went home from the BBS.
došao sam kući
I
s
did the
BBS-a,
meetings. I did the volume. I listened to the tapes.
slušao sam kazete, bio sam na svim sastancima,
I read 15 minutes a day.
čitao sam 15 minuta dnevno,
I came back the next month.
došao sam sljedeći mjesec,
I walked across the stage.
hodao sam preko pozornice,
That was
svi su
wonderful.
pljeskali, to je bilo divno.
And then all of a sudden I sat down.
I onda sam sjeo dolje.
They said, now for new Silver Eagles.
I onda su oni rekli, sada novi srebrni orao,
15 planners, let's recognize them.
upoznamo ih.
And I'm sitting in the audience.
Ja sjedim u publici,
And there's that old lady
a ona starica,
walking across the stage.
hoda preko pozornice.
I said to my sponsor, what does she do?
Pitam sponzora, pa što ona radi?
He says, man, she did 15 plans last month, 3 months in a row, and new Silver Eagle.
On kaže, napravila je 15 planova u 3 mjeseca, svaki mjesec i ona je novi srebrni orao.
So I'm going to beat her.
Ja ću je pobijediti.
So I went out the next month.
I došao sam sljedeći
Plan,
mjesec.
plan.
Plan.
Next few months, plan.
Sljedeći par mjeseci plan.
I get my silver eagle.
Dobio sam srebrnog
I
orla,
walk across stage.
hodao preko pozornice
And there she was, the little old lady sitting in the audience.
i starica je sjedila u publici.
I walk across, I keep my eye on her, I beat her. Got her.
Gledao sam i mislio ja sam veći, bolji.
Got off the stage.
I
And
si-
she was a wonderful old woman.
I bila je prekrasna starica.
She clapping for me.
Pljeskala mi je.
Then all of a sudden they said, new silver eagles again.
I onda kažu novi srebrni orlovi ponovo.
She didn't get up and go across stage.
I nije se digla i prešla preko
I
pozornice.
sat back down,
Sjeo sam dolje
said to my sponsor,
i rekao sponzoru,
I beat her.
pobjedio sam je.
He said, yeah, really good. You beat an old lady.
On kaže da, jako dobro, pobjedio si staricu.
And then they said, ladies and gentlemen,
A onda kažu, dame i gospodo,
new leader clubs.
novi lider klub.
And I'm going, what's a leader club?
Što je lider klub?
And this little old lady,
A starica,
I'm going, what's she doing leader club? I beat her.
što ona radi u lider klubu, ja ću pobjediti.
She's ahead of you, Pat.
A sponsor kaže, ona je ispred tebe.
Do you know that I chased that lady all the way to DD?
Znate li da sam jurio tu staricu skroz do DD-a?
So why you come here?
I sada sam došao ovdje.
Find some old lady.
Nađite neku staricu.
I don't know what you gotta find, but a meeting keeps your attitude and keeps you coming back in here.
Ne znam gdje ćete je naći, ali sastanci će vam pomoći da stvorite svoj
I
stav.
think she died after that. She was old.
Mislim da je umrla nakon toga, bila je stara.
But you know another thing about building a big business,
Ali još jedna stvar o građanju velikog posla.
especially where you are right now, at the leader club level and at the 20 plus, you know, in that area where your business is starting to grow.
Najbitnije je sada, kada ste na ovom sastanku, kada ste na 20 plus imate grupu.
One of the most difficult parts that starts to happen right now
Najteža stvar koja se počne događati sada.
is you start getting this little group behind you.
Imate grupu iza sebe.
And you maybe have never been in a leadership position before.
I nikada niste bili u leadership poziciji do sada.
Maybe you're a manager
Možda ste menadžer
and you think management and leadership are the same thing.
i mislite da su menadžerstvo i leadership jedno te isto,
And they're not in any way.
a nisu.
Totally different.
Totalno su drugačiji.
You're used to maybe as a manager going to work to say to your people, go ahead and work.
Kao menadžer dolazili biste na posao i govorili ljudima, hajde radi.
And you do that in this business.
A to radite i u ovom poslu.
And they don't do anything.
A oni ništa ne naprave.
So what do you want to do?
Što onda želite raditi?
You want to say to them, you're fired.
Želite im reći, otpušten si.
But you can't fire people that volunteered.
Ali ne možete otpustiti ljude koji su dobrovoljno ušli u posao.
So one of the first things in leadership you have to learn as an attitude
Zato je prvo što morate naučiti u leadershipu je stav.
is how do you motivate a volunteer group?
Kako motivirati dobrovoljnu grupu?
Think that one through.
Razmislite o tome.
Everybody in here volunteered to join this business.
Svi su ovdje dobrovoljno pristali na ovaj posao.
Nobody's made you join this business.
Nitko vas nije natjerao da uđete u ovaj posao.
If your upline becomes too strong on you, what will you do?
Ako vam je upline prestrog, što ćete napraviti?
You quit.
Odustat ćete.
You could just get up and go home.
Možete se dići i otići kući.
So how do you motivate somebody who volunteers?
I kako sada motivirati nekoga tko je dobrovoljno pristao?
There's only one way you motivate a volunteer.
Samo na jedan način to možete.
The dream.
San.
What's their dream?
Što je njihov san?
If you don't know what their dream is, you cannot motivate them.
Ako ne znate koji su im snovi, ne možete ih motivirati.
I used to think the way to motivate people was to work harder than they did.
Mislio sam da ću ljude motivirati time što ću raditi snažnije nego oni.
Work.
Rad.
And all my group would look at me and they go, he works hard.
I cijela grupa me gledala i mislila, on puno
And I'd
radi.
be, work. Come on, do this. Work. Do, come
Radi
on.
sa mnom, radi sa mnom, radi.
And they'd look at me and they go, it looks too hard.
A oni su me gledali i rekli, pa to se čini preteško.
And I'd say to them, but you want to be free. You want to be successful. You want to beat the old lady.
Ali želite biti uspješni, želite biti slobodni, pobijediti staricu.
And they'd look at me and they'd go, I don't want to be as successful as you. I don't want to be as big as you. And I don't like the old lady anyway.
A oni su mi rekli, ne želim biti uspješan kao ti i uostalom ne želim pobijediti tu staricu.
I began to learn that you need to ask people, why are you trying to succeed?
Morate ljude pitati zašto želite uspjeti.
What are you looking for?
Što očekujete?
Once I knew what somebody wanted, then you do everything you can to help them get where they want to go.
Kada znate što netko hoće, pomoći ćete na svaki način da ostvari svoj cilj.
As long as they have a good attitude
Dok god imaju dobar stav
and they're willing to work.
i dok žele raditi.
What's their dream?
Što je njihov san?
I found one of the things most difficult to learn in this business was to change from a manager of people telling them what to do
Bilo mi najteže u ovom poslu promijeniti stav, dakle ne govoriti kao menadžer što treba raditi,
to a leader that would lead people
nego postati lider koji vodi ljude.
by just saying, watch me work, watch what I do, learn from what I'm doing, follow me.
Radim, gledaj što radim i slijedi me.
That's a tough attitude.
To je težak stav.
Because a lot of times at this level, you got a nice little group started.
Na ovom nivou obično imate lijepu grupu
You may be here as new people with 20 plus,
i tu su ljudi sa 20 plus
and you're trying to figure out how to get these people to do something.
i pokušavate napraviti nešto da ih natjerate da nešto naprave.
You get your dream,
Imate svoj san
you start moving towards your dream.
i krećete prema svom snu.
You find out what their dream is,
Pronađete njihov san
and you help them work towards their dream if they will work.
i pomognete im da oni krenu prema svom snu ako žele raditi.
That's different than management.
To je različito od menadžerstva.
Management is very simple. Do this or you're fired.
U menadžmentu je jednostavno, napravi to ili si otpušten.
Doesn't work here.
Ovdje tako ne djeluje.
You'll end up with a very small group if you do that to people.
Imat ćete jako malu grupu ako ćete to raditi.
If you have an attitude of being able to work with people properly,
Ako imate stav da radite sa ljudima na
I
pravi
think
način
another thing that you will find very successful
i pronaći ćete još jednu stvar koja je jako uspješna,
is there are certain numbers that work.
a to je da neki brojevi rade.
I'm going to take those of you that are fairly new here
Pričam vama koji ste novi ovdje
through a way of thinking.
i pričam kroz vaš način razmišljanja.
I like to refer to this as fail to the top.
Želim razmišljati o tome kako je teško doći do vrha.
Learn how to fail right to your dream.
Naučite padati prema putu do svojih snova.
You think, fail?
Padati.
Fail ahead?
Padati naprijed.
I thought if I fail, I would not succeed.
Mislio sam da ako ću pasti da neću uspjeti.
That's how maybe it works in other businesses, but not this one.
To možda djeluje u drugim poslovima, ali
In
ne u
this
ovom.
business, you will always fail first.
U ovom poslu uvijek ćete prvo pasti.
And if you can get an attitude about failure, that failure is good,
I ako ćete imati stav o padanju, onda je pad dobar.
then when success happens, it's okay too.
I kada se uspjeh dogodi, i to je dobro.
One of the biggest problems for most leadership is that we get frustrated with failure.
Najgora stvar kod leadershipa je da se frustriramo padovima.
We fail, we quit.
Padnemo i onda odustanemo.
Or we fail and fail, and then the right person comes along, but our attitude is wrong.
Ili padnemo i tada ne iđe dobra osoba, ali imamo krivi stav.
Because we have rear view eyes.
Zato što imamo uši sa strane.
We look at what has happened to us,
Gledamo unazad što nam se događa,
not where we want to go.
a ne tamo gdje moramo ići.
Learn how to focus on where you want to go. Forget what happened to you.
Fokusirajte se na ono kamo želite doći, a zaboravite ono što je iza vas.
An expression that I work with for myself.
Izraz koji koristim za mene.
I focus on two things only.
Fokusiram se na dvije stvari.
Only got, not a big head. Very small head.
Ne na veliku glavu, nego jako malu.
Not a lot of brain in here.
Ne na puno mozga i
So I
pameti.
can think of two things.
Da mogu razmišljati na dvije stvari.
My next goal
Moj sljedeći cilj
and my last success.
i moj zadnji uspjeh.
Not a failure,
Ne uspjeh.
my last success.
Zadnji uspjeh.
That's all I have time. My dream and my goal and my last success.
Moj san i ono što je zadnje što sam uspio.
If you can force yourself at first to learn how to think this way,
Ako se možete natjerati da razmišljate o tome na taj način,
and you do it over and over and over and over, it eventually becomes a habit.
i ako to radite stalno i stalno, s vremenom će to postati navika.
And the attitude of success
A stav o uspjehu
is a habit.
je navika.
And the attitude of failure
A stav propasti
is a habit.
je navika.
Equally powerful.
Jednako snažno.
One will lead you to failure,
Jedno će vas dovesti do propasti,
the other one will take you to the land of your dreams.
a drugo do zemlje vaših snova.
You just learn which one you want to think about.
A sada odlučite o čemu želite razmišljati.
I remember a long time ago, I heard a tape.
Sjećam se davno kada sam slušao kazetu.
By the way, anything I'm telling you,
Usput, sve što vam kažem
it ain't original.
nije original.
I've heard this on a tape somewhere.
Čuo sam to već na vrpcama.
I've experienced this and just sort of said, this is what happened to me.
To sam imao u iskustvu i sada se to jednostavno dogodilo i meni.
Somebody told me a long time ago
Netko mi je davno rekao,
that if you show this business about 5 times,
ako pokažete ovaj posao 5 puta,
you'll have one person who will join this business.
imat ćete jednu osobu koja će ući u posao.
That's just a general number.
To su obični brojevi.
Some of you might find it a little bit better.
Možda mislite da je situacija bolja
Some of you might find it a little worse. I don't know. I don't know your percentages.
ili lošija, ne znam kakvi su vaši postoci.
I just know my percentages.
Znam svoje postotke.
Sometimes people say, boy, that's pretty good.
Neki kažu, pa to je jako dobro.
Other people say, that's terrible.
A drugi kažu, joj, loše je.
I don't know. It's just the way it works.
Ne znam, je tako jednostavno radi.
So if you know what your percentages are, work with them.
Ako znate svoje postotke, radite s njima.
Now, let's say that you have to show the business 5 times to get one person to join.
Sad ćemo pričati o tome da morate 5 puta pokazati posao da bi vam se jedan čovjek uključio.
And your upline counsel says to you,
I vaš upline vam kaže,
you want to go DD.
morate postati DD, platina.
You want to build a big business.
Želite napraviti veliki posao.
In fact, really what you want to do is you want to find more platinums below you.
Morate jednostavno naći više platina ispod sebe.
So let's assume over a period of time
Dakle, kroz neko vrijeme pretpostavimo
that you show this business 50 times.
da ste pokazali ovaj posao 50 puta.
Okay? I don't know how long it'll take you to do that.
Ne znam koliko će vam trebati da to napravite.
If you're doing 15 plans a month,
Ako radite 15 planova mjesečno,
about 3.5, 4 months, you did it.
3 do 4 mjeseca i gotovi ste.
How many of you, if you really made up your decision, you could show this business 50 times?
Koliko od vas može napraviti
I
planove
mean, if
50
you
puta?
really wanted to succeed, everybody could do that, right?
Ako stvarno želite uspjeti, to svi mogu
Okay,
napraviti.
so you show this business 50 times.
Dakle, pokažete 50
And if
puta
you're getting 1 out of 5,
i ako dobijete jednog od 5,
at the end of 50 times, how many people will have joined your business?
i na kraju od 50 puta, koliko ljudi će se uključiti u vaš posao?
10.
10.
Just 10.
Samo 10.
Okay? You got 10 people who join.
Imate 10 ljudi uključenih.
How many of you would be excited to sponsor 10 frontline?
Koliko vas je zainteresirano da sponzorirate 10 ljudi?
It's not bad, huh? I'd like that. 10 frontline's pretty good.
Da, to nije loše.
But you see, you got to have an attitude.
Ali morate imati stav.
You got to learn what to focus on.
Morate naučiti na što se morate fokusirati.
I just asked you if you'd like to sponsor 10 frontline. You said yes.
Pitao sam vas da li želite sponzorirati 10 frontova, rekli ste da.
But do you realize you have to show it 50 times to get 10?
Ali da li shvaćate da 50 puta morate pokazati plan da biste dobili 10 ljudi?
Do you realize that 40 of them said no?
Znate da je 40 njih reklo ne?
40 of them said go home, forget it.
Njih 40 reklo je odi doma, zaboravi na to.
40 of them says it won't work, you're stupid, it's a pyramid, forget it, go home.
Rekli su to je glupo, to ne radi, nemaš pojma, budala si, odi doma.
40 of them said the products are too expensive, the tapes annoy me, and I didn't like the speaker, his head was too shiny.
40 ih je reklo da produkti su preskupi, da su kazete dosadne i da im se nije sviđao voditelj jer je imao.
Do you realize that you are failing 80% of the time?
Znate li da vam 80% ljudi propada?
You're not succeeding.
Niste uspješni.
This is a terrible business.
Ovo je grozan posao.
80% failure.
80% promašaja.
And let me tell you, if you listen to your negative brother,
I ako slušate svog negativnog prijatelja,
and if your boss tells you it won't work and you should work harder for him and you accept it,
i ako vam vaš šef kaže da to ne valja i da trebate raditi više za
and
njega,
if your friends tell you the product's too expensive and they won't buy it,
i ako vam prijatelji kažu da su produkti preskupi i da ih ne žele kupovati,
and if out of 50 times you show the business, 40 times they tell you it won't work and you listen to that, you will fail
i ako nakon 50 planova 40 ljudi vam kaže tako, propašćete
with most people.
sa tih 80%.
Because your eyes now
Jer vaše oči
are no longer focused on your next goal,
ne gledaju na sljedeći cilj
and they're not focused on your last success.
i ne na zadnji uspjeh,
Your eyes are focused on your failure.
nego gledate na svoj neuspjeh.
And your number one attitude is gone.
I broj 1 stav je idite dalje.
How many of you have seen that as leaders? Some of us have pretty big groups, right?
Neki od vas imaju prilično velike grupe, jel?
How often do we talk to somebody who sponsors somebody,
Koliko često govorite o nekome koji je sponzorirao nekoga
and all they talk about is all the failure they've had?
i jedino o čemu pričaju su samo neuspjesi koje su imali.
You know what I'm talking about?
Znate o čemu
It drives you
pričam.
crazy.
To vas izluđuje.
You say, what are you looking at? Why look at your mother? Why listen to your brother? What are you talking about your friend who won't sit at work?
Zašto slušate mamu, sestru, brata, ljude koji ne žele raditi?
Somebody just joined you.
Netko ti se upravo pridružio.
They go, yeah, but.
ali...
You see, you got to have the attitude.
Imate pola stava.
You focus on the success,
Ako uspijete,
forget the failure.
fokusirate se na uspjeh, zaboravite na propast.
But it's tough to do, isn't it?
Ali to je teško napraviti, zar
I
ne?
mean, think about it.
Razmislite malo.
40 times out of 50, they're saying no.
40 od 50 kaže ne.
But let's say you have a good attitude. Let's
Ali
say you can focus.
recimo da imate dobar stav i da se možete
And
fokusirati.
you can pay attention to what succeeds, not what fails.
I možete se fokusirati na ono što je uspjelo, a ne na ono što je propalo.
And you do have 10 people who joined.
I imate 10 ljudi koji su se uključili.
I mean, you've got some things happening.
Dakle, nešto se zbiva.
But out of the 10 who join,
Ali od tih 10 koji su ušli u posao,
you're going to hate this.
mrzit ćete ovo.
9 of them quit.
9 ih odustane.
How many of you have had somebody quit?
Koliko od vas ima nekog koji je odustao?
I tell my group this all the time.
To stalno pitam ljude.
When you've had as many people quit that I have, they'll call you diamond.
Kada ćete imati toliko ljudi koliko je odustalo, koliko ih ja imam, bit ćete dijamant.
It's just the way it works.
To je jednostavno tako.
You are failing
Ne uspijevate
98% of the time.
98% vremena ne uspijevate.
This is a terrible business.
To je grozan posao.
I mean, those numbers will hurt you.
Te brojke će vas povrijediti.
If you learn how to focus on success and not failure,
Ako se naučite fokusirati na uspjeh, a ne propast,
that number
taj broj
is a joke.
je šala.
You know why?
Znate zašto?
Because when you're focusing on success,
Jer ako se fokusirate na uspjeh,
the attitude
stav
is I don't care how many failures I have,
Stav je da me ne zanima koliko imam propalih
I
slučajeva.
know someone in there is going to do it.
Znam da će netko ondje to napraviti.
And you know what? Most successful businesses in the world
I najuspješniji poslovi u svijetu
are built on little tiny percentages,
su napravljeni na tim malim postocima.
very small percentages.
Vrlo malim postocima.
All you have to be able to do is learn how to focus on the little 2%.
Sve što morate napraviti je naučiti se fokusirati na tih malih 2%.
Forget the 98% of the time it isn't working.
Zaboravite 98% vremena koje ne valja.
And let me tell you, that is tough to do.
I reći ću vam, to je jako teško napraviti.
I don't know if you'll be able to do that without being at this kind of a meeting on a regular basis.
Ne znam da li ćete to uspjeti napraviti, a ako ste stalno na ovim sastancima.
I don't think you'll be able to do it if you're not listening to tapes every day where somebody's telling you of a success.
Mislim da to nećete uspjeti napraviti ako ne slušate kazete svaki dan koje vam pričaju o uspjehu.
One of the most important things I heard from a speaker a long, long time ago.
Najvažnija stvar koju sam čuo od jednog voditelja davno,
He said, when you're listening to tapes,
kada slušate kazete,
your tendency will be to listen to the technique tapes, the method tapes,
bit će vam tendencija da slušate tehničke strane,
not to listen to those success stories, those
a ne da slušate priče o uspjehu.
people telling you how they got started. Nobody cares.
Nikog ne zanima kako su uspjeli.
He says the trick to this business is to listen to the success stories more than the technique tapes.
A on kaže da je ključ ovog posla da slušate priče o uspjehu, a ne o tehnici.
Now,
Sada,
if you're sanguine,
ako ste sangvinik,
everybody knows that, sanguine, huh?
znate što je sangvinik.
You'll love that.
Voljet ćete to.
Sanguines love stories.
Sangvinici vole priče.
It's just la 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 la. It's just fun.
To je zabavno.
Those of you that are melancholy,
Oni koji su melankolici,
we give you success stories like, give me some stuff.
oni će reći daj mi nešto konkretno.
And if you're choleric,
Ako ste kolerik,
you only want to hear success stories of people that really were hurt to be successful and they made it anyway.
i željet ćete čuti samo priče o uspjehu ljudi koji su se strašno mučili do tog
A
uspjeha.
choleric likes a story at the end of the story when the guy is standing there, no arm, no leg, no head.
Kolerici vole priče u kojima oni koji su uspjeli više nemaju ni ruke, ni noge, ni
Bullets and
imaju metke u sebi.
and I did it
I
anyway.
svejedno sam uspio.
Cholerics love that, don't we, huh?
Kolerici to vole, zar ne?
And phlegmatics, what do they like?
A flegmatici?
Anything you give them.
Sve što im date.
Listen to the tape. Okay.
Samo im recite da slušaju kazetu.
It's great, it's wonderful.
To je prekrasno.
But make sure you listen mostly to success stories
Ali natjerajte ih da slušaju priče o uspjehu,
because they get you in the heart
jer one vas diraju u
and
srce.
they kick you in the butt.
Daraju vas odozada.
They just don't fill up your head.
Ne pune vam glavu.
But you got to be able to fail.
Ali morate znati ne uspjeti.
Now let me tell you something.
Reći ću vam nešto.
If you learn how to fail,
Ako naučite ne uspjeti
and if you learn how to fail right,
i ako naučite propasti na pravi način,
you'll fail right to the top.
past ćete skroz do vrha.
Because here's what'll start to happen.
Jer ovo će vam se događati.
You're going to show this business 50 times.
Pokazat ćete ovaj posao 50 puta
And out of those 50 people that you show the business to,
I od 50 ljudi kojima ćete pokazati,
40 of them will say no.
40 će ih reći ne.
10 of them will say yes.
10 da,
9 of them will quit.
9 će ih odustati
And 1 of them will make it.
i 1 će napraviti.
And I like to say it this way.
I želim reći na ovaj način.
No matter how bad of a sponsor you are, that person succeeds anyway.
Kako god da ste loš sponzor, ova osoba će uspjeti na svaki način.
That's about true.
I to je istina.
I know for us it was.
Znam da je za nas bila.
The first person I sponsored in my business who became a platinum.
Prva osoba koju sam sponzorirao u poslu došao je do platine.
I sponsored peer and above. You've heard this expression.
Dakle, sponzorirao sam nekog koji je uspješniji od mene.
The problem that happens with that
Problem koji se dešava u tome
is that I never introduced them to my sponsor.
je to da ih nikad nisam upoznao sa svojim sponzorima.
I didn't understand the concept of edification
Nisam znao koncept edifikacije.
because my sponsor is an accountant
Zato što je moj sponzor računovođa,
and I'm a sales executive.
a ja sam direktor prodaje.
And I assumed that the business was a selling business,
I shvatio sam da je posao prodavanje,
not a leadership business.
a ne leadership posao.
So I would not introduce my people to my sponsor.
I zato nisam svoje ljude upoznavao sa svojim sponzorima.
So I didn't have any help.
I nisam imao nikakvu pomoć.
And I sponsored this person who was much more successful than me.
I sponzorirao sam osobu koja je puno uspješnija od mene.
And when I tried to tell him what to do,
I kada sam mu pokušao reći što treba raditi,
he would look at me like, I'm not going to listen to you
i pogledao me i rekao, pa neću tebe slušati.
because I'm more successful than you.
Pa ja sam uspješniji od tebe.
So I had built a problem.
I tako sam napravio problem.
I had found the right person,
Našao sam pravu osobu,
but in so doing I had to set it up the wrong way.
ali sam sve postavio na krivi način.
So here's what happened.
I evo što se dogodilo.
One day I tried to tell my person, this is what you need to do.
Jednog dana pokušam toj osobi reći, ovo trebaš napraviti.
Shut up, shut up, shut up.
On kaže, šuti.
I'd go back next month, this is what you need to do.
I sljedeći mjesec opet kažem, to trebaš napraviti.
Shut up, forget
A
it.
šuti.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Ne znaš ti.
Then I got smart.
I tada sam se opametio.
I said, I would like to introduce you to somebody.
Želim te upoznati s nekim, to sam mu
He
rekao.
says, who are you going to introduce me to?
A on pitao, s kim ćeš me upoznati?
My sponsor.
Sa svojim sponzorom.
So I introduced him to my sponsor.
Upoznao sam ga sa svojim sponzorom.
And I said, this guy, I said, businessman, this guy will get you where you want to go.
I rekao, ovaj čovjek će te odvesti tamo kamo želiš otići u ovom poslu.
Don't listen to me, listen to my sponsor.
Ne slušaj mene, nego slušaj mog sponzora.
I said, sponsor,
Rekao sam, sponzor,
here's my partner.
ovo je moj partner.
Partner,
Partner,
here's my sponsor.
ovo je moj sponzor.
Get together,
Odite zajedno.
have fun.
Zabavljajte se.
Sponsor,
Sponzor,
just send me 4%.
samo mi pošalji 4%.
And I left them alone.
I pustio sam ih na samo.
And it worked like a charm.
I odlično je djelovalo.
My sponsor said to my partner, do this.
Moj sponzor je rekao mom partneru, napravi ovo.
And the guy would go do it.
I čovjek je to napravio.
So I learned something very valuable about this business.
I naučio sam nešto jako važno u ovom poslu.
Don't try to do it alone.
Nemojte to raditi sami.
Use a group.
Koristite grupu.
You got a long line of sponsors.
Imate veliku liniju sponzora.
You better hope somebody in that upline is working with your group.
Nadajte se da netko od vaših uplina radi u vašoj grupi.
Because you have one person who's going to make it.
Jer imate jednu osobu koja će to napraviti.
Now, what is a platinum worth to you every month?
I što sad vama platina svaki mjesec znači?
4%.
4%.
What is 4% every month
Koliko je 4% svaki
in
mjesec?
Croatian currency?
Oko 1000 maraka.
You know what it is. I can't even say it.
Znate to.
So you get 4% every month.
Dobivate 4% svaki
Now, I
mjesec.
want you to think about something.
Razmislite o nečemu.
You got to have people skills.
Imate vještine,
You got to have a good attitude.
imate dobar stav
And you have to work.
i morate raditi.
And you got to work hard.
I ako ćete raditi puno,
And you think, I have worked hard.
mislite radio sam puno.
Yes, you've worked hard, but you got to work hard and consistently hard.
Da, radili ste puno, ali trebate raditi stalno puno.
Because if you try to figure out who that one is out of those 50, you'll never find them.
Jer ako pokušate unaprijed znati tko je jedan od tih 50, nećete ga naći.
Remember, you're after 4%.
Razmišljate o tome da idete na 4%.
Now, here's what I want you to do.
Evo ovo što trebate napraviti.
I want you to think for a minute, how long are you going to live?
Razmišljate na trenutak koliko dugo ćete živjeti.
How many of you are going to live at least 40 years?
Koliko od vas će živjeti još bar 40 godina?
Think about it. Some guy in the audience right now.
Netko u publici sjedi i samo klima glavom
No.
i gleda na sat.
I'm only going to live another 10 years.
Ne, ja ću još samo 10.
Come on. 40 years is not. You'll live for 40 years, right?
Živjet ćete 40 godina, ne?
Now, how much money do you make every single month in one 4% leg?
Koliko novaca dobivate svaki mjesec od 1-4%?
I want you to take that number, I don't know what it is.
Razmislite o tom broju, znate koji je.
4% times 12 months
4% puta 12 mjeseca
is how much?
je 12.000 maraka minimalno.
Times 40 years.
Puta 40 godina.
Got the picture?
Imate sliku?
Now,
Sad.
the only thing separating you
Jedino što vas razdvaja
from the front row here
od prvog reda ovdje
is that these partners have done the work.
je to što su ti ljudi napravili
They've
posao.
kept their attitude in check.
Imali su stav, čekirali su svoj stav,
They've developed tremendous people skills,
imali su velike vještine
and you've worked.
i ovdje su.
And because they've worked,
I zbog toga što su radili,
these numbers are working for them.
ti brojevi rade za njih.
And it will work for you too.
I radit će za vas.
I don't care where you are in this group. You can be way back there in the blue seats. How you doing? Way
Ne
back
znam
there.
gdje jeste, ali možete biti skroz do traga na plavim sjedalima.
These numbers
Ti
will
brojevi
work for you
rade za vas
as they've worked for you, as they've worked for us.
kao što su radili za sve nas.
You just got to get the numbers up.
Samo morate imati brojeve.
And that's work ethic.
I to je etika posla.
People say, yeah, but the market's just started here and it's already all done.
Ali ljudi razmišljaju, sad je počeo ovdje posao, već je sve napravljeno.
I have had an opportunity in this business to work brand new markets
Imao sam mogućnost vidjeti potpuno nova tržišta
and old markets.
i stara tržišta.
Some of the fastest growing parts of the world are brand new markets,
Neka od najbrže rastućih tržišta su nova,
and some of the fastest growing markets are the oldest
a
markets.
neka druga od najbržih rastuća su stara.
It has absolutely nothing to do with when it opens.
To nema veze sa tim kada se tržište otvara.
The only thing that happens for people in a new market
Jedino što se događa na novom tržištu
is that a lot more people join much quicker
je to da se puno više ljudi puno brže uključuje
than an old market.
nego na starom tržištu.
And the only thing difference between an old market is that in the new market people quit much faster
I razlika u tome što na novom tržištu
than they do in an old market.
ljudi puno prije i odustaju nego na starom tržištu.
There's no difference. You're going to end up with the same business.
To nema veze, završit ćete u istom poslu.
You just have to keep an attitude of, is it worth my time to work?
Samo morate imati stav o tome.
See, let me just walk you through this.
I sada ćemo prohodati kroz to.
You show the business 50 times.
Pokažete 50 puta plan.
You have 40 people reject you.
Imate 40 ljudi koji su vas odbili,
10 people join.
10 uključeni,
9 of them quit.
9 odustalo,
1 of them makes it.
1 uspijeva,
Goes platinum.
on ide na platinu.
You earn 4% on a platinum.
Dobivate 4% od platine,
4% times 12 months
4% puta 12 mjeseci,
times 40 years.
puta 40 godina.
How much is that?
Koliko je to?
How much?
I don't know.
Me neither. Work it out. Get your calculator. Work it out.
Ne znam ni ja, uzmite kalkulator i izračunajte.
Here's the thing you have to ask yourself.
Evo stvari koje se morate zapitati.
In order to get to this one person,
Da biste našli tu jednu osobu,
could you avoid the 49 others?
da li možete izbjeći 40 drugih?
You can't.
Ne možete.
You cannot avoid the 49 other people.
Ne možete izbjeći tih 40 ljudi.
You have to go through 50.
Morate ih imati 50.
Think about it.
Razmislite o tome.
If I could sit home with my prospect list,
Kad bih sjedio doma
Joe, Fred, Mary, John,
i gledao koje ljude imam na listi,
and I could pick out the person who is going to make it,
i izabrao osobu koja će to napraviti,
do you think we'd need to do this?
mislite da bismo trebali raditi ovo?
Would we need to sit there and have a big function like this?
Da li bismo morali imati ovakav sastanak kao što je ovaj?
Would we have to do meetings like this to try to find out if you're the person who's going to succeed?
Da li bismo imali takve sastanke da bismo vidjeli da li ste vi osoba koja će to uspjeti?
You know what we would do?
Znate što bismo napravili?
We would take a piece of paper,
Uzeli bismo komadić papira,
ask a bunch of questions,
pitali puno pitanja,
interview people one by one.
upoznali ljude jednog po jednog.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Sit down.
Drago mi je što smo se upoznali, hvala, sjedite,
Fill out the form.
ispunite formular.
Wrong one.
Krivi,
Next.
dođi drugi.
That's the way we would find a diamond.
Na taj
We would
način
do
bismo
that
našli
until 6 people became DDs.
Na taj način bismo našli dijamanta. 6 ljudi bi bilo DD.
It doesn't work that way.
Tako to ne funkcionira.
You must go through 50 to get to the one.
Morate imati 50 da biste imali jednog.
How many of you have shown the plan and they didn't join?
Koliko od vas je pokazivalo plana, nisu se uključili?
You better believe it. You all did that to get here.
Tako su svi prošli.
Did you feel discouraged?
Jeste li se osjećali obeshrabreno?
Did you feel sad?
Da li ste bili tužni?
Did you feel that your business was not going to work?
Da li ste mislili da vaš posao neće raditi?
Did you feel like a failure?
Da li ste se osjećali kao neuspješni?
Wrong thinking.
Krivo razmišljanje.
It's just part of the process to get to that one person.
Pa to je samo dio procesa da dobijete jednu osobu.
That's all that it is.
To je sve.
So, in order to keep your attitude up,
Dakle, u načinu da održavate svoj stav,
here's what I want you to think the next time you show this business to somebody who says no.
evo stvari na koju želim da mislite kada vam netko kaže ne.
I want you to go through this little mental process.
Želim da prođete kroz ovaj mali mentalni proces.
I'll do this in Canadian money.
Ispričat ću to na kanadski način.
A platinum is worth $800 Canadian a month.
Platina vrijedi $80,000 mjesečno.
That's $10,000 a year.
Pardon, to je $10,000 godišnje.
If I develop a platinum this year and I live for 40 years, that's $400,000 Canadian.
Dakle, 4 puta 12.
If I have to show the business to 50 people to get that one person,
Ako pokažem 50 planova i dobijem jednu osobu,
that means every time I show this business, whether they get in, join, or quit,
i svaki put kada pokažem bilo ko da odustane,
I have made $8,000 Canadian every time I show the plan.
imam $8,000 svaki put kad pokažem plan.
Think about it. How would you like to make that kind of money?
Želite li taj novac?
You got to have that up here,
Morate to imati ovdje u glavi.
because the alternative is not to believe that.
Jer alternativa tome je da ne vjerujete u
If you
to.
can't accept this, then what are you going to accept?
Ako to ne možete prihvatiti, što ćete
If you
prihvatiti?
cannot accept it, you must show it 50 times to get to the one person.
Ako ne prihvatite to da 50 puta morate imati plan da bi dobili
Then the
jednu
only other
osobu.
thing you can accept is that it's not going to work for you.
Jedino drugo što možete prihvatiti je da to neće raditi za vas, neće valjati.
I remember one time I was out in the middle of the summer.
Jednom sam bio usred ljeta vani,
It was too warm. It was sort of like here right now.
a bilo je vruće kao otprilike ovdje.
And I was building a deck in my backyard, a patio,
Slagao sam ogradu
hammering the deck.
i zabijao čavle.
My sponsor said to me,
Moj sponsor mi je rekao,
"What are you doing?"
što radiš?
I said, "I'm building a deck."
Slažem ogradu. Krov.
He said, "Why would you build a deck?"
Zašto slažeš krov?
I said, "Because I want to have a place to sit in the sun."
Zato što želim negdje gdje mogu sjediti ispod sunca.
He says, "Pat, you need to hire people to do that."
On kaže, Pet, pa moraš unajmiti ljude da ti to naprave.
I don't know, I'll save money by doing it myself.
Ne, uštedjet ću ako ću to raditi sam.
He says, "Pat, how many hours will it take you to build a deck?"
A koliko sati će ti trebati da to napraviš?
I said, "I don't know, 50 hours."
Ne znam, 50 sati.
He says, "Pat, how many plans can you do in 50 hours?"
On je pitao, a koliko planova možeš napraviti u 50 sati?
I don't know, say, go there, come back home, show the plan, 2 hours, back and 25 plans.
Ako odem tamo, vratim se nazad, držim plan, oko 25 komada.
He says, "Pat,
On je rekao,
were you always this stupid?"
jesi li oduvijek ovako glup?
I said, "I don't think I was stupid. What do you mean stupid?"
Nisam glup, zašto bi bio glup?
He says, "Pat, every time you show the plan,
On je rekao, svaki put kad pokažeš plan,
whether they get in or not,
da li uđu ili ne,
whether they get in and quit,
ili odustanu,
you must go through the 50 to get to the one.
moraš imati 50 ljudi da bi dobio jednog.
And every time you show the plan, you make how much money?"
I svaki put kad pokažeš plan, koliko zaradiš?
I said, "Well, if I'm showing the plan, $8,000.
Ako pokažemo $8,000.
And he says, "You're spending how many hours building a deck?"
A on je pitao, a koliko sati gradiš ovo?
I said, "Well, worth 25 times the plan."
To vrijedi 25 sati plana.
He says, "What's 25 times $8,000, Pat?"
A on je pitao, koliko 25 planova po $8,000 vrijedi?
Don't go there. That's an expensive deck.
To je jako skupi krov.
People say, "You think of this business that way?"
Razmišljaš o poslu na taj način?
Oh, yeah.
Da.
Oh, yeah.
O, itekako.
Number of years ago, I was showing this business to a businessman.
Prije nekoliko godina pokazivao sam to jednom biznismenu.
I was fairly young at the time, a little younger than I am today.
A bio sam puno mlađi nego što sam sada.
And when I showed him this business,
I kada sam mu pokazao plan,
he said to me,
rekao mi je,
"That won't work."
ma, to ne radi.
Now,
Sada.
how many of you are choleric?
Koliko vas je kolerika?
How do we respond when somebody says, "That won't work"?
Kako reagiramo kada nam neko kaže, to ne radi?
It isn't when they say it won't work.
Ne da kažu da to ne radi,
It's when they go,
nego kad kažu,
it's the that gets me.
taj me
I mean,
dira.
say it don't work. But
Reci da ne radi.
just don't put a before.
Samo mi nemoj reći prije.
Anyway, this guy went, "It won't work."
No, on je rekao to.
So I said, "Well, who do you know that likes businesses that don't work?"
Pa tko voli posao koji ne radi?
He says, well, there's this guy lives in this little town called Hinton.
Taj čovjek stanuje u gradu koji se zove Hinton.
Now, I was new to this part of the country in Alberta, Canada.
Bio sam nov u tom dijelu zemlje, u tom dijelu Kanade.
We didn't know where Hinton was.
Nismo znali gdje je Hinton.
So I get in my little car,
Sjeo sam u auto
and I start driving to Hinton.
i vozio sam se u Hinton.
3 hours later,
3 sata kasnije
I get to this little logging town.
došao sam u taj mali grad.
Now, you got to picture this. I'll talk about Canada to the bigger group later on today.
Pričao sam o toj Kanadi prije.
Most people have a picture of Canada as being this wonderful, beautiful, wide open place. But
Svi misle da je veliko, široko mjesto,
the roads up to these little towns are dangerous.
ali ceste u te malo gradove su opasne.
They cut down the big trees.
U Kanadi posjeku ta velika stabla,
As tall as, way taller than that, as tall as this building.
daleko više od ove zgrade,
And they put them on big trucks.
i stave ih na velike kamione.
And they drive down the highway in the middle of the winter.
I voze se po autocesti usred zime.
And these trucks, when they turn, the big logs come into your lane.
I kada oni okreću zavojima, te velike klade idu na vašu stranu.
So I drove for 3 hours,
Vozio sam 3 sata i pazio,
whoa, trying to dodge these big trucks.
pokušavajući izbjeći te velike kamione.
I get out to Hinton.
Došao sam u Hinton,
I find this businessman, ring, 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 hello.
pronašao sam tog biznismena,
I talked to a person in Edmonton. He told me to talk to you about a business.
pričao sam sa tom i tom osobom i on mi je rekao da razgovaram s tobom.
He says, yeah, come on over.
Da, uđi.
So I go over to show him this business.
I pokazao sam mu plan.
He looks at me.
On me gleda i kaže,
It won't work.
to neće raditi.
Well, who do you know that likes businesses that won't work?
Pitao sam ga, koga znaš da voli takav posao koji neće
He
raditi?
says, well, there's this other person that lives in this little town
Pa ima jedna osoba u onom malom gradiću
called Edson.
koji se zove Edson.
Now, here's Edmonton,
Tu je Edmonton,
3 hours,
3 sata,
big logging trucks.
veliki kamioni,
Here's Hinton.
Hilton.
This is the Rocky Mountains of Canada.
Ovdje su stijene, Rocky Mountains u Kanadi.
That's a moose.
Ovo je jelen.
And about right here
I otprilike ovdje.
is this little town called Edson.
I tu je mali grad koji se zove Edson.
Now, it was 3 hours this way,
3 sata u ovom smjeru,
1 hour back.
1 sat unazad.
I figured I'll show him.
I mislio sam pokazat ću njemu.
So I get in my car,
Sjeo sam u svoj auto.
dodging moose, deer.
Dakle, kamioni,
Big trucks.
jeleni, veliki kamioni.
And I show this guy this business and Edson.
I pokazao sam mu posao i on kaže,
Ditto.
ma da,
Ditto? What does ditto mean?
što znači dido?
He says, same thing the other guys told you.
Isto ono što su ti rekli oni prije mene.
I'll say it another way for you so you understand.
Reći ću ti na drugi način da razumiješ.
It won't work.
To neće raditi.
I'm like, if I hear that one more time, I'm going to kill somebody.
Ako to čujem još jednom, ubit ću nekog.
I said, well, who do you know?
Rekao sam, pa koga ti znaš?
He says, well, I know a guy that lives back in Hinton.
Znam jednog čovjeka koji živi isto u Hintonu.
And I just, this is very true.
To je stvarno istina.
I sat there.
Sjeo sam u auto.
I said, okay, 3 people in a row. No.
Rekao sam, 3 čovjeka za redom. Ne.
I'm in the middle of the mountains.
Usred sam planina.
I don't know anybody out here. Why don't I just go home and tell my wife it don't work?
A zašto ne bih otišao kući i rekao svojoj ženi, ma daj, pa to ne radi.
You be a teacher, be happy.
Budi učiteljica i budi sretna.
I'll be a little salesman, I sell medical equipment, I'll be happy.
Ja ću biti mali prodavač.
We don't need
bit ću
this
sretan.
business.
Ne treba nam taj posao.
We don't need these people.
Ne trebamo te ljude.
And I don't want to ever hear again,
I
it
ne
won't
želim
work.
više čuti u svom životu.
You see,
Vidite,
when you're a fighter
kada ste
inside,
borac u sebi,
when you got the heart to be a winner,
kada imate srce da budete pobjednik,
you'll have the guts to fight.
imat ćete onaj organ da bi se borili.
When you listen to people that are winners,
Kada slušate pobjednike,
when you hang around with people that will fight for their dream,
kada se družite s ljudima koji se bore za svoj san,
this doesn't become failure,
to nije neuspjeh,
this becomes something that you will beat.
ovo postaje nešto što ćete vi pobijediti.
And you will drive it and drive it until you get it.
I vozit ćete i vozite dok ne napravite.
And I just said to him,
I rekao sam mu,
what's his name?
Koje je ime tog čovjeka?
And he said, well, it's this guy, he's a Swiss person. He lives in Switzerland, but he's here.
To je neki Švicarac koji živi tamo, ali evo sad živi tu.
And I drove back to Hinton.
I vozio sam se nazad u Hinton.
I met a partner, Daniel Izzo.
Upoznao sam partnera.
Daniel and Hannah joined our business.
I Daniel i Hana uključili su se u posao.
I got a person.
Imao sam osobu.
Most of you here are part of a brand new market.
Većina vas dio je novog tržišta.
You're trying to determine whether it will work in Croatia.
Pokušavate vidjeti da li će to djelovati u
You've
Hrvatskoj.
seen what's happened in Slovenia. You think, well, that's different. The people are different.
Gledate Sloveniju, mislite, ma to je drugačije, ljudi su drugačiji.
They bring in speakers from Australia.
Dovode voditelje, one koji
Austria.
pričaju iz Australije, iz Austrije,
From Hungary,
govornike iz Mađarske,
from Canada.
iz Kanade.
They fly in the big guy, Jim and Nancy Dornan from the United
I
States.
lete Jimmy, Nancy, Doran, velike face iz
All of us are telling
Amerike.
you can do it, you can do
Svi
it, you
pričaju,
can do it.
vi to možete, vi to možete.
I had to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to find my one guy.
A ja sam morao ići vamo tamo da nađem svog
And
čovjeka.
I came home excited.
I došao sam doma sretan.
Honey, I said, we sponsored somebody who can barely speak our language.
Rekao sam, draga, pa ja sam našao čovjeka kojeg sam sponzorirao koji jedva govori naš jezik.
She says, this is great. What are they going to do?
A ona kaže, to je krasno, a što će oni raditi?
They're going to build this business.
A oni će napraviti ovaj posao, rekao sam.
See, everybody tells you this when they first join. I'm going to build this business.
Svatko tko se uključi, to će vam i reći. Ja ću napraviti
And
posao.
at first you believe it.
I u početku im vjerujete.
You tell, they're going to build a business. They told me so.
Oni su rekli da će mi napraviti posao.
But see, after a while you start to listen.
Ali nakon nekog vremena počinjete slušati.
When people say, I'm going to build a business, you don't just listen, you watch.
Kada ljudi kažu da će napraviti posao, samo ne slušate, nego ih gledate.
I phoned up Danielle.
Nazvao sam Daniela.
Danielle, we need to build this business now.
Rekao sam mu, moramo napraviti ovaj posao sada.
He said, Pat, I need to see it again.
A on je rekao, Pet, moram ponovno to vidjeti.
I said, see it again? You saw it once, you joined.
Rekao sam, pa šta, pogledao si jednom i uključio si se.
Yes, but he says, I need to understand it better.
A on je rekao, pa moram to bolje razumjeti.
So we began this relationship.
Dakle, uspostavili smo odnos.
Here's what it would do.
Ovo smo napravili.
I'm in Edmonton.
Ja u Edmontonu,
Danielle and Hannah were in Hinton.
oni u Hintonu.
Danielle and Hannah would drive in every week on Monday,
Oni svaki ponedjeljak putuju,
come to my house at 5:30 in the evening,
dolaze k meni u 5:30 popodne
and say to me, show me the plan again, one more time.
i kažu, pokaži mi plan još jednom.
I would show the plan.
Ja bih pokazao plan,
I'd say, we need to have a meeting.
kaže moramo imati sastanak.
Oh, yes, we'll have a meeting when I'm ready to get started.
Da, napravit ćemo sastanak, moramo početi.
Okay, you should get started now.
Dobro, morate početi sada.
Oh, yes, I will, very soon.
Da, budem, evo, uskoro.
And he would drive back to Hinton.
I vratio se u Hinton.
The next week,
Sljedeći tjedan,
he would drive in
nazad se vratio,
on Monday,
u ponedjeljak,
come to my house,
došao k meni,
5:30.
u 5:30.
Pat, show me the plan one more time.
Pet, pokaži mi plan još jednom.
I've shown you the plan.
Rekao sam, pa pokazao sam ti.
We need to have a meeting.
Moramo imati sastanak.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a meeting.
Da, imat ćemo sastanak.
Show me the plan one more time.
Samo mi pokaži još jednom plan.
This went on for about 6 weeks.
To je trajalo tako 6 tjedana.
I say, you don't have a group.
Rekao sam, pa ti nemaš grupu.
He says, I will get a group when I understand the plan.
On je rekao, ma imat ću grupu kad ću razumjeti plan.
After 6 weeks,
Poslije 6 tjedana,
he buys a few products.
kupio je par proizvoda
We make $6
i imali smo $6
profit.
profita.
What are you clapping for?
Zašto plješćete?
That's pathetic.
To je jadno.
$6 after 6 weeks?
$6 nakon 6 tjedana.
And then he phones me up one day.
I onda me nazvao jedan dan.
I have some great news.
Imam divne novosti.
I said, what? You have a prospect?
Rekao sam, ma da, imaš nekako viđenje toga?
He says, no, I'm moving.
On kaže, ne, selim se.
Moving?
Seliš?
Where are you going?
Kamo ideš?
I'm moving back to Switzerland.
Idem nazad u Švicarsku.
I said, I don't want to go to Switzerland to build a business. Do it here.
Rekao sam, pa ne želim raditi posao u Švicarskoj, napravit ću ga ovdje.
Oh, the economy is no good. I'm going to go back to Switzerland. I said, there is no group in Switzerland.
Pa ni nema grupe u Švicarskoj.
At that time, there was a Network 21 group in Switzerland.
A u to vrijeme Network 21 bio u Švicarskoj.
It was made up of Daniel.
Bio je napravljen od Daniela.
That was it.
I to je bilo to.
And he got connected to somebody and we never heard from him.
Spojio se na nekoga i mi se nismo više čuli.
So for all of that work,
Sav taj posao,
back and forth,
naprijed i nazad,
talking and showing the plan.
pričanje i pokazivanje plana,
I worked it out one day.
shvatio sam jedan dan.
I spent 100 hours
Potrošim 100 sati,
either talking to Dan or working or trying to get a meeting.
Pričajući ili pokazivajući plan.
See, I didn't understand the business.
Nisam razumio posao.
I thought the way it worked at that time
Mislio sam da to tada radi,
was you get somebody in the business
da uzmeš nekoga, staviš ga u posao
and you just hang on to them
i objesiš se na njega
and just keep shaking them,
i treseš ga
and then one day they poof pop up as a direct.
i jednog dana on se pretvori u DD-a.
It doesn't work that way.
Tako ne funkcionira.
Anyway, I moved on and continued sponsoring and building a business.
Svejedno, nastavio sam sponzorirati i graditi posao.
Daniel moved,
Daniel se preselio,
never heard of another thing.
nikad ništa nisam čuo.
And I remember the time I looked at how much money I have made by sponsoring that one person.
I gledao sam koliko novaca sam zaradio sponzorirajući tu jednu osobu.
I made $6
$6
and I spent 100 hours earning it.
i 100 sati učeći ga.
I was then making 6 cents Canadian an hour.
Zaradio sam 6 centa kanadskih po satu.
I don't know if you're converting this, but here's what this is like.
Ali to je otprilike ovako.
The lowest minimum wage in Canada at that time
Najniža minimalna plaća u to vrijeme u Kanadi
was $5.
bila je $5.
I mean, if you had to pick up garbage,
Dakle, ako trebate uzeti smeće,
you made $5.
napravite $5.
If you had to sweep the streets of the city after the parade,
Ako metete ulice nakon parade,
pick up the horse stuff,
dižete konjske stvari,
you made $6.
a zaradite
An
$6
hour.
po satu.
If you had to clean the windows of the stores,
Ako trebate čistiti prozore dućana,
you make $6 an hour.
$6 na sat.
But in Network 21,
A u Network 21
I made 6 cents.
ja sam zaradio 6 centi.
And I never showed her that.
I to nisam nikada rekao.
I never showed my wife how much little money I made in that business.
Nikad nisam ženi rekao koliko malo novaca sam zaradio u
Why?
tom poslu. Zašto?
Oh,
Oho,
you would have heard it from Suzanne.
čućete od Suzane.
I told you that business wouldn't work.
Rekla ste da je posao ne
Now
valja.
today you'll have a chance to hear Suzanne and she's excited.
Danas imate priliku čuti i ona je uzbuđena.
But I didn't show her my 6 cents an hour.
Ali nisam je pokazao da sam zaradio 6 centi po satu.
Anyway, I have
Svakako.
carried on and found other people.
Ipak sam nastavio i tražio druge ljude.
We made sure our business became platinum.
Potrudili smo se da postanemo platine.
They told us if you get platinum, you'll be making good money. I said, okay, I'll do platinum.
Rekli su nam ako postanete platine, zarađivat ćete puno. Ja sam postao platina.
2 years later,
2 godine kasnije,
a little envelope comes in the mail one day.
mala omotnica je došla,
And it had a
poštanski
little,
sandučić.
had a little emblem of Amway.
I imala je mali amblem MV-a.
And I opened it up,
Otvorio sam je
and it said, congratulations,
i unutra piše čestitamo.
new 21% group, Switzerland,
Nova 21% grupa iz Švicarske.
and a check for $600.
I ček na $6,000.
Woo! I thought,
Letio sam.
hey, hey, honey, look at that,
Draga, vidi ovo.
money.
Novac.
But you see, I just want to finish with this.
Želim završiti s ovim.
When I couldn't get him to do anything,
Kada ga nisam mogao natjerati da nešto napravi,
I could have quit.
mogao sam odustati.
When I was driving back and forth across the highway,
Kada sam se vozio po autocesti tamo i nazad,
dodging the lumber trucks,
pazeći na kamione,
ducking the moose,
saginjajući se ispod jelena,
I could have quit.
mogao sam odustati.
When Daniel got up and moved off to Switzerland, another part of the world,
Daniel se odselio u Švicarsku, u drugi dio svijeta,
I could have quit.
mogao sam odustati.
If I would have focused on my little bit of profit,
Da sam se fokusirao na mali dio profita,
my friends said, you should quit.
moji prijatelji bi rekli pa i trebaš odustati.
But I'm not a quitter, neither are you.
Ali ne odustajem, ani vi.
And because of that, that's why you'll end up with these stories.
I zato ste vi završili ovdje.
My sponsor used to tell me all the time,
Moj sponzor mi je stalno pričao,
you're gonna make it, man. Just keep in there, don't give it up, keep focused.
napravit ćeš, fokusiraj se, ne odustani, napravit ćeš to.
The first month we came in this business with that royalty,
Kada smo prvi mjesec ušli u taj posao,
we had to add on $636.
zaradili smo $636.
Now I had $642 profit.
Sad imam $642 profita.
Don't miss this point.
Nemojte ovo propustiti.
The 100 hours didn't change.
100 sati se nije promijenilo.
My partner was on the other side of the planet.
Moj partner je bio na drugom strani planeta
I still wasn't able to help him.
i nisam mu mogao pomoći.
There was the beginning of a system of Network 21 that started taking over.
Tamo je počinjao sistem Network 21 koji je preuzimao.
He kept plugged into the system.
On se priključio na sistem.
I'm over in Canada being chased by moose and being dodging big trucks.
I ja sam u Kanadi, progone me jeleni i veliki kamioni.
My partner in Europe is building his business.
Moj partner u Europi gradi posao.
The next month in comes another $636.
Sljedeći mjesec dolazi sljedeći
I now am making $1,300.
I zarađujem $13,300.
The same 100 hours have been put in place.
Ista količina sati je utrošena.
Now I'm making $13 an hour.
Sad zarađujem $14 po satu.
I make more money than the guy picking up the garbage.
Zarađujem više nego smetlar.
I do better than the guy cleaning up the windows.
Više nego onaj koji pere prozore.
And the next month,
I sljedeći mjesec
$700 comes in.
$700 dođe.
His business started getting a little bigger.
Njegov se posao
Now
povećava.
I made $2,000.
Sada imam
It's the
$2,000.
same 100 hours.
Za iste sate.
I'm making $20 an hour.
Zarađujem $20 na
That is
sat.
only after 3 months.
I to nakon 3 mjeseca.
And if you want to know why you're building this business,
I ako ne znate zašto radite ovaj posao,
you're going to pay those prices.
ako znate zašto,
You're
platit
going to
ćete
drive
to.
those miles.
Vozit ćete te kilometre,
You're going to be out there showing those plans.
pokazivat ćete planove.
And as long as you can keep your attitude that you're going to get that one,
I dok god imate stav da ćete to
you're going to show
napraviti,
the plan 50 times maybe to have 49 tell you no.
napravit ćete 50 planova i da vam 49 otpadne.
These are your stories that you will have.
Ovo su priče koje ćete vi imati.
In 3 months' time, the profits after hanging around for 2 years.
To je zarada nakon 2 godina.
The profits are making as much per hour
To je zarada koja toliko radi na sat.
as 90% of people in the Canadian
Kao
marketplace.
90% ljudi u Kanadi.
Here's why you want to do this business.
Zašto želite raditi taj posao?
You're going to have these stories.
Imat ćete ove priče.
You're going to have to learn how to laugh at them.
Morat ćete se naučiti smijati im se.
When somebody goes to you, that won't work.
Kada neko kaže,
You
to
have
neće
to go,
raditi.
I heard that before.
Reći ćete, to sam već čuo.
Where's my platinum? I know he's close
Gdje
by.
mi je platina, znam da je blizu.
Because that was after 3 months.
Jer je to bilo nakon 3 mjeseca.
Get this.
Shvatite ovo.
We have had that kind of profit come in every single month, never one month missed, for over 18 years.
Dakle, imamo ovu zaradu svaki mjesec
That
i
is
jedna nije
incredible.
propala već 18 godina.
That is huge.
To ste vi.
Because Pat McDonald's special?
Zato što je Pat McDonald specijalan?
No.
Ne.
Anybody would have found that person.
Svatko bi našao tu osobu.
That guy and that lady wanted this business.
Taj čovjek sa ženom je htio taj posao.
We've had a chance to do all of this, haven't we? We
Svi
find them
imamo-
everywhere.
Svi imamo šanse.
When you get an opportunity, sit down with the people in the front tables. Ask them. These are the stories that we all have.
Kad imate priliku, sjednite s ljudima u prvim redovima i pitajte ih. To su priče koje svi imaju.
And just think about it.
Razmislite o tome.
You show the plan.
Kažete plan,
Most say no.
većina kaže ne,
Some say yes.
neki kažu da,
Most of them quit.
većina odustane
And only a few
i samo nekoliko
stick around.
ostane uz vas.
And you only need 6.
A trebate samo 6.
And you know what?
A znate što?
If you have one
Ako imate jednu,
already,
već,
you only need 5 more.
samo trebate još 5.
And if you don't have any,
Ako nemate,
you only need 6.
samo trebate 6.
Thank you very much. See you
Hvala
tonight.
lijepo.